Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. I probably sound like I'm whispering, and that's because I'm not talking too loud because my dad's asleep upstairs and I don't really want to wake him up, but I need to record this video and I ran out of time to do it earlier in the day today. So we're going to record it now, but we are going to be talking about my winter TBR. Now, the way that I've seen some people doing this is they've done it like near the beginning of November and such, while my TBR is going to span not only December, but it's also going to expand into January and February. I have about 15 books on here. Most of them are in the physical copy, while only like a couple of them are in the Kindle version and such like that. That's because I haven't gotten the physical copies of them quite yet. But without further ado, I just kind of want to dive into this and just get started a little bit and such. So these guys aren't really in any order and such like that, but I'll tell you the reason why I chose them and what they're about and such like that. But this first one, the two new books and such like that have come out in kind of like it's not really a companion series, but it's just kind of like a add-on to the series, and it's a dystopian series that I've been wanting to read for such a long time and such like that. But that is Shatter Me by Teferi Mafi, I think is how you pronounce her name. I feel like everybody and their brother knows about Shatter Me and such. And basically what it's about this girl named Juliet. Her touch is fatal. She can like kill people who they touch and such like that, or like she can kill people with her touch is what I'm trying to say. And this reestablishment thing has plans for her to use her as a weapon and such. But Juliet has plans for her own. And after a lifetime without freedom, she's finally discovering a strength to fight back for the first time and to find a future with the one boy she thought she lost forever. So it's kind of like a dystopian like world and such like that. And so many things and such like that. Like there's so many like famous quotes that I've heard like about this book, like specifically and such like that. Hopefully there's not too much of a shine because I got the light on just to like try and get better lighting and such like that. But the reason why I chose this is because every single year, starting at this top of the year, I go through at least one really big fantasy series or one big like dystopian series, and I want to try that with the Shatter Me series and such. So that's pretty much the reason why I've heard so many people love it. And with the new series coming out, I think it's like Shatter Me New Republic. I can't remember, but it's like, I can't remember which ones those were and such like that off the top of my head, but I know so many people have been talking about this and so many people love it. So I just kind of want to hear what the hype is, honestly, and see what the hype is in general, to be honest with you. Yeah, that's the first book. And the second book is kind of a little bit of a continuation, just in case I like want to continue on with this series, because I really did enjoy the first book. Not too sure if I'm going to watch the movie and such, because the movie trailer came out and we got a date for when that movie is coming out. But we have The Housemaid's Secret by Frida McFadden. This is the second book in the Housemaid series. I can't talk too much about this because it would kind of spoil a little bit about what happens in The Housemaid and such. We still follow Millie specifically within this book, and she's working for another family and such like that after going to the Winchesters and such, and stuff happening in that book, which I'm not going to talk about because, again, that would be spoilers, to say the least. But I had such a fun time reading this, and I'm really curious because so many people like love but hate the series at the same time, you know? Like from what I've heard is that most people love the first book, iffy on people liking the second book and such like that. Like I've heard some yeses, I've heard some nos, and then some people for the third and final book that I've seen and such, some people have not liked it that much, honestly. And it's kind of curious to me as to why someone might not like it, but I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm curious because of the way it ended off in the first book. To be honest, I think it could have stopped there to let us up to the imagination, but you know, it's her book. She can do whatever the hell she wants with it and such. But that's the reason why I have this on my winter TBR. Plus, it's going to be dark. It's going to be chilly and such like that as well, too, you know. And chilliness is good for a nice little, like, thriller vibe and such like that. And then the next one is also another Frida McFadden book. And this one is Never Lie by her. And this one and such like that, it follows these newlyweds named Trisha and Ethan. They are searching for this house. And then they think that they found it at this remote remote manor that belonged to Dr. Arlene Hale, who was a renowned psychologist who disappeared without a trace years ago. And then when a violent winter storm traps them in the estate, the house begins to lose its appeal. So it also takes place in the winter time as well too. It's going to be snowing. Pretty much feels like a little like wintry vibe and such. And then stuck inside and growing restless, Trisha stumbles upon a collection of audio transcript from Dr. Hale's sessions with patients. And as Trisha listens to the cassette tapes, she learns about a terrifying chain of events leading to the doctor's mysterious disappearance. And with each tape, another shocking piece of the puzzle falls into place and a web of life slowly unveils. But by the time Trisha reaches the final cassette, the one that reveals the entire horrifying story, it will be too late. So again, another Freedom McFadden book. I don't know if I truly like her stuff because I feel like I'm in the same boat that I am in with so many people who read Freedom McFadden. They love certain books, but then some of them they don't like. Like I know her most recent book, which is The Intruder, has not gotten very good reviews. I'm not sure why, but that one just doesn't really appeal to me too much, honestly. So I probably won't be reading that one. And I feel like with this one, the plot intrigued me and such because I'm graduating with a degree in psychology. So I'm very much like interested in like psychiatry and psychology and such like that. And like being a psychologist or whatever. That's not what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, but like just like knowing about like mind games and whatever and just like kind of seeing that played out in books. I'm curious to see how this is going to go. And again, some people are also like iffy on this book too. I think it just kind of depends, to be honest with you. And then this next one and such like that, I've had on my radar for a hot minute and I finally was able to buy it and such, but it is The Nightmare Before Christmas by Sarah Rausch. Basically what it's about and such like that, it's this guy named Nicholas Claus, aka his nickname is Cole. He is the Prince of Christmas and such, and then his father basically turned it into a PR facade and such, and he does anything to try and escape the spectacle, including getting tangled in a drunken, super hot makeout session with a beautiful man behind a seedy bar one night. But the heir to Christmas is soon commanded to his duties. He will marry his best friend Iris, the Easter princess, and his brother's not-so-secret crush, a situation that has disaster written all over it. Things go from bad to worse when a rival appears to challenge Cole for the princess's hand, and Cole comes face to face with his mysterious behind-the-bar hottie, Hex, the Prince of Halloween. It's a fake competition between two holiday princes who can't keep their hands off each other over a marriage of convenience that no one wants, and it all leads to one of the sweetest, sexiest, messiest, most delightful, unforgettable love stories of the year. Yeah. I think you guys know how I feel. It just sounds so fun. It'll be nice to read also during the Christmassy vibes and such like that as well too, you know. It just sounds so fun. It sounds extremely, extremely fun, you know? And then this next one, I was actually influenced and such by my girly Ellen Catherine. Go check her out and such because she loves this author. And last time I read one of her books, I didn't like it that much, but I'm hoping that this one can redeem because so many people have been liking her stuff. But it is Good Spirits by B.K. Borison. This is, well, first of all, the sprayed edges are like really, really gorgeous looking and such, if you can see there. But basically, from what I've seen and such like that, it follows this dude named Nolan Callahan, who is the ghost of Christmas past. He's sent to talk or like whatever haunt this woman named Harriet and such, and she's trying to figure out why she's being haunted because she's a good person. And then they just kind of figure out like what exactly went wrong, along with like a little like romance developing between the two of them as well too. Yeah, you know, like she's like one of her like the book that I read by her and such that I didn't really like was Love Light Farms. I don't know why. I just wasn't vibing with that book that much, you know? Usually when I'm trying authors like for the first time and such like that, they have like a 3 strikes and they're out rule and such. So I'm going into this with like fresh eyes and such, you know? Because it really sounds like an intriguing plot, to say the least, you know? Basically, he's the ghost of Christmas past. She's not really like a Scrooge and such, but like she's definitely one of those like people where she does like have like a good life, but also at the same time, something that she might not be talking about could also hinder her and why Nolan has come to haunt her in the first place and such. This next one is going to be kind of a little bit of a curveball, but I see it as perfect timing because the movie is going to come out in early January, and that is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. This, I believe, is being turned into a movie with Tom Blythe, and I don't know who is played by Poppy. I'm not gonna lie, I don't recognize her, but basically with this one and such like that, it follows these best friends named Poppy and Alex, who are literally the exact opposites of each other, and then like they've been going on summer vacations for decades, where they spent like a week of vacation together up until 2 years ago when they ruined everything, and they haven't spoken since. But then Poppy is like kind of like stuck in a rut, so she convinces Alex to go on a vacation one last time and figure out like where it all went wrong, and then like a romance happens between them. This is also the first of Emily Henry's books to become a movie, and like specifically being released as a movie, because all of her other books besides Great Big Beautiful Life, because they haven't been out long enough and such, has movies or like TV shows coming out and such like that. And this one and such is very intriguing because so many people either love this one or don't love it as much, and I'm curious because I loved Book Lovers by her. Beach Read was really good. Great Big Beautiful Life was fine, and then the other ones I haven't read Happy Place or Funny Story by her. So that's pretty much the reason why I kind of also want to make a vlog out of this, of like reading the book and then like watching the movie immediately afterwards and such, just to kind of like see comparisons and such and like what exactly has changed. I think that could be really, really fun, to say the least. So yeah. And then another one that I have and such is also a holiday book and such by an author that I've been trying to read for years, but it hasn't been the proper time. And that is Holiday Ever After by Hannah Grace. I have tried to read Icebreaker by her multiple times, or not really multiple times. Like I tried it once and then I like softy and effed it because I do want to go back to it eventually. But I saw this one and I was like, it's probably gonna like be around, like, you know, like there's just something about it, like the cover is cute and like gorgeous and such, you know. And basically what it's about and such like that, it's about this woman named Claire who she just wants to climb the ladder at Davenport Innovations like creativity, but then her plan goes wrong when she's accused of stealing a toy design from a small town business and such. So Clara is then tasked to handle this PR stuff. And then Jack is like not happy and such because like essentially somebody like stole his design and such like that, and the Davenports, like they think like the Davenports have stolen it and such like that. So right now they are trying to work together to try and stop this bad press and such like that, PR, you know. And I'm intrigued, you know. I'm really, really, really intrigued, you know. I'm not very much of a Christmas girly, I'm not gonna lie. I'm much more of like a fall Halloween girl and such, but you know, it never hurts to like read a book like this, you know? And then the next one is, I'm hoping I can get to it, but at the rate that I have, probably not, to be honest with you, this year. But hopefully I can get it next year, and that is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I feel like everybody knows what this book is about, so I'm not going to talk your head off too much about it. But the reason why is because I've been wanting to get into a little bit more historical fiction and such. Like specifically right now, like most of my list, like most of it is not romance. I will say that it's not romance because I'm not in a romance mood right now. I'm not sure why. I'm just not. I'm not feeling it, and I've been leaning more towards like historical fiction and more just like literary fiction and such and things like that. And this is like integral like historical fiction and such, and so many people love it. It's I think it's Kristen Hanna's most highest rated book on Goodreads and such, if I'm not mistaken. And just a little like short like rundown. It takes place in World War II. You're following these two sisters. One of them, her husband is out in the war and such. it takes place in France and such, and Nazi Germany is trying to take over France as well too. One of the sisters' husbands is in the war and she's just trying to keep to herself, while the other sister is wanting to help out more in the war and such like that, and they're kind of like going on different paths essentially, so you're kind of following that storyline and such. I'm just so curious, honestly. Like, it's literally known as like Goodreads best historical novel of the year. Like that, I'm pretty sure that doesn't go out lightly and such. And I will say it is thick. It is a really, really big book, but I feel like I can like do it and such like that. I could 100% do it. Yeah, that's pretty much that and such. And then I have a couple more left. I have 4 of the physical left, and then I'll tell you guys what the Kindle books are that I've decided to do. And this next one is actually a memoir, and I never watched this YouTube channel growing up, but I'd always heard of it. It just didn't really appeal to me. But we have Sherry Frankie's memoir, which is The House of My Mother, A Daughter's Quest for Freedom. I remember hearing about Ruby Frankie and all of the criminal stuff because I'm very much a true crime junkie, to say the least, you know, and I keep up with that stuff. And hearing about that, I was like, what in the world? You know, it just like, it's one of those things where you couldn't really like comprehend that much. They were like, what? And then of course the documentary came out and such, kind of bashing in on Ruby, thank God, because, you know, and then when Sherry announced that she was writing this book and such like that, I was like, I'm very curious, because she was the oldest of the Frankie kids and such, and she got out of there and such. She got out of there kind of like fairly quickly and such when she got older and such like that, you know, and there's like a quote from the back of like chapter 9 and such, you know, and it's basically just talking about like what her childhood was like and how it was basically like a battle for survival and such like that. And it just being able to see her point of view and get even more getting more confirmation on how Ruby is not a good person and such. So it's weird to say I'm excited for that one, because I'm curious as to hearing what she has to say and such, because, you know, and thankfully with memoirs and such like that, victims and people who have been victims of crimes and such like that are able to tell their stories and such through this form of media and such that's a lot more intimate and such. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then this next one and such, I've actually had it on my book of the month TBR for a hot minute, and that is House of Glass by Sarah Pecan, I think is how you pronounce her last name. Buchanan, I think is how you pronounce her last name and such. And basically what this story is about this 9-year-old girl named Rose Barclay who witnesses the possible murder of her nanny in the midst of her parents' bitter divorce and immediately stops speaking. Stella Hudson is the best interest attorney appointed to serve as counsel for children in high conflict custody battles. She never accepts clients under 13 due to her own traumatic childhood, but Sarah's mentor, a revived judge, believes Stella is the one who can help. From the moment Stella passes through the iron security gate and steps into the gilded historic home of the Barclays, she realizes the case is even more twisted and the Barclay family far more troubled than she feared. And there's something eerie about the house itself. It's a plastic house with not a single bit of glass to be found. As Stella comes closer to uncovering the secrets that the Barclays are desperately trying to hide, danger wraps around her like a shroud, and her past and present are set on a collision course in ways she never expected. Everyone is a suspect in the nanny's murder: the mother, the father, the grandmother, the nanny's boyfriend, even Rose. It is the person Stella's supposed to protect, the one she may need protecting from. So yeah, it's like a little like thriller and such like that. And I saw it on Book of the Month. This was like the Book of the Month for July and such like that of 2024. And it was just so intriguing that I was like, yes. And plus, most of my thrillers I get from Book of the Month anyway. So yeah, that's that. And then this next one that I have is another Book of the Month pick and such from this year, January 2025. And that is A Killing Cold by Kate Alice Marshall and such. I have a book of hers thrillers on my TBR and such, and I will get to it eventually, but this one is very much like wintry vibe and such like that, you know, and like basically I'll read the thing and such like that, where it's like a whirlwind romance when Theodora Scott met Connor, wealthy, charming, and a member of the powerful Dalton family, she fell in love in an instant. 6 months later, he brought her to Idlewood, his family's isolated winter retreat, to win over his skeptical relatives. Theo has tried to ignore the threatening messages on her phone, but she can't ignore the footprints in the snow outside the cabin window or the strange scent. Familiarity has something about this place. Then, in a disused cabin, Theo finds something impossible: a photo of herself as a child, a photo taken at Idlewood. I've been here before. Theo has almost no recollection of her early years, but now she begins to piece together the fragments of her memory and realizes she is in terrible danger. Someone here has a shocking secret that they will do anything to keep hidden, and discovering what happened at Idlewood may cost Theo everything. So yeah, it's another one of those like retreat things and such like that, and like romance gone wrong and that type of stuff. And I don't know too much like what people have been saying online, because it's like I don't know, to be honest with you, but it's fairly short, so I'm really curious about that one. And then the last one that I have in this physical form is actually one of the first books that I got from Book of the Month, but I haven't picked it up in a while and such like that, because I remember when I first tried to read this, it was right after reading a really good thriller and I was picking it apart. So I DNF'd it and such like that at the time. But now I'm kind of ready to dive back into it. And that is Breathless by Amy McCulloch. And basically it follows this girl and such like that named Celia Wong and such. She is a journalist, and she's trying to basically get the interview of this dude named Charles McVaughn, who was on the last leg of his record-breaking series of summits and such, and she has to climb this mountain with him in order to get this story and such. But then a climber dies and such like that, and what everybody is thinking is a freak accident. Her fear for this expedition she fears that their expedition is in danger, and then by the time the second climber dies, it's too late to turn back. So they're stranded on this mountain and such, basically with a killer, and she'll have to battle more than the elements in a harrowing fight for survival against the killer who was picking them off one by one. So kind of another like stranded type of thing and such like that. I think I have a dog ear from when I like originally stopped reading this book. Yeah, I do. I forgot I had that in there and such. But I've been wanting to read this for a while. It's wintry and such like that. And I think also the first time I tried to read this, it was kind of summer, so it was kind of taking me out of it as well too. And I've learned that I'm a very much like it's not autumnal, but like I'm a very much season reader and such, and I like to read books that correspond to that season the best, you know? So that's pretty much all the physical books that I have, and I have 2 books in the Kindle version and such like that, or like maybe in the audiobook version. We shall see, to be honest with you. Okay, so the first one that I have in the non-physical form is Make the Season Bright by Ashley Herring Blake, and she is very much known for the like Bright Falls series and such like that, where it's like Delia Green is completely fine, or whatever that series and such like that, you know, and like Iris Kelly doesn't date, and like now with like Dream On Ramona Riley and such, and like things like that and such. It's a Christmassy type of sapphic romance, I'm pretty sure, and such. She mostly writes sapphic romance, I think, but like I'm not too sure and such. I read like the synopsis and it looks kind of cute and also kind of like easy to read. Again, very Christmassy vibes and such, you know, so definitely doing that and such. And then the final book that I have for my Winter TBR altogether is The Shining by Stephen King. The book cover that I think I have up on the screen is the one where it's like snowing and such, and I don't know if the movie's accurate to the weather and such like that, but like in The Shining and such like that, there's like a big snowstorm within like the actual like thing. And fun fact, I have never watched the movie either, so I wanted to read this and then go into the movie as well too, because so many people love the book, they love it, but then in the movie they don't like it and such, which I thought is I think is really, really funny personally and such. As so many people were just like, no, it wasn't good, for the movie at least. And the reason why I picked it for my winter TBR is it's cold. First of all, the environment within the book is going to be cold. And also Stephen King is one of my favorite authors. And I feel like I need to include him at least once in like my TBRs and such like that, That is my winter TBR for December 2025 to February 2026. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you guys again for watching. Let me know if we share any of these books and such like that on our winter TBR, or like let me know if you gravitate towards certain genre when reading in the winter time and such, since we're getting really, really close and such to winter time and snow getting on the ground and all of that good stuff, So yeah, that's pretty much it. Comment down below a little snowflake emoji and such to let me know that you've made it to this part of the video and such like that. All of my stuff will be linked in the description down below, along with my social medias popping up on the screen wherever they may be and such. And I really, really, really hope that you guys have an amazing day, week, month, and year. See you later, friends.